They ask me, Gil, don't you think it's a crime? No way. And time after time after time, people in the bottom.
Oh yeah, people are in the bottom.
There's people showing up in the bottom.
People are showing up in the bottom. Ask those people in Louisville. Ask those people in Los Angeles. Ask those people. Hey, here in Chicago, we shut them down, boy. We shut down the protesters here in Chicago. We kick that a butt, okay? We kick that butt like it's supposed to be kicked. We didn't have any protesters getting all out of pocket because guess what? It's not their country to get out of pocket. It's not their city to get out of pocket about. This belongs to the people. It's amazing to me. I remember when Barack Obama, I was down in Tampa Bay, Florida at the convention. And Barack Obama said, you didn't make those roads. Those roads were put in by the government. You didn't build that business. That building was built, but your business was built by the government. You know, the guy was such a loser. I tell you, I hated Obama. I hated everything about the guy. Everything about the guy. I always thought he was such a sissy man. Such a girly man. Well, a couple of housekeeping things real quick. Charles Barkley said last night about, and I need to send this to Ed Lubin. I think I'm going to send this to him right now. The Ghostbuster comment. And he was talking about, Barkley was talking about, what did he say? He said something about Ghostbusters. And I'm thinking, man, I did Ghostbusters like back in June. Okay. And for those of you who don't believe me, I'm going to pull it out and show you right here on the I'm out on YouTube. I'm going to pull it out and show you that I did a Ghostbusters article. Who you going to call Ghostbusters? When they were talking that nonsense months ago. So I'm like light years ahead of Charles Barkley, who people try to call me from time to time. I mean, Charles talks a good game. At the end of the day, I don't think he's read very many books. Not that, you know, reading books is an end all and be all, but it's certainly a start. Ghostbusters. I'm trying to pull up Ghostbusters on my, oh, you know what? It's not on this computer. Okay. I know where it is, but that's okay. So really, Ghostbusters. I did this article, Ghostbusters. Those of you out there on YouTube, you see it. Yeah, if you want to check the show out, you can go to Charles Butler, The Reality Check, and I'll be there in all my glory. But that's it right there. That's my article. The article says, the suggestion of defunding the police departments in major cities is ludicrous. And I'm not talking about the rapper Ludacris. If you need the police, do not call 911. Please call Ghostbusters. That's what these people are saying. Is so damn stupid. But, you know, you have to look at who founded it. Who founded Black Lives Matter? Who founded it? People don't even know who these folks are. These basketball players, these celebrities don't know that the women who founded Black Lives Matter are so psychologically messed up. It ain't funny. Both they're two lesbians and one chick who's, I think, a transgendered person. I don't really know what she is because there's conflicting information about her, but I know she is from Africa and she wants more Africans here. We don't need more Africans here. Sorry. We have people here who are called Black Americans who are having a tough enough time. And these programs that are in place to try to right the wrongs of slavery, which you never had to endure, and you're very proud to talk about, you didn't come from slavery, keep your ass right where you are in them poor shithole countries. That's how I feel about Africans, all of them. And I feel the same way about people south of the border. And I feel the same way of people north of the border and from Europe. Keep these immigrants out of our country. We have over 40 million foreign-born people. What is that doing to our country? It is destroying the very fabric of America, of what we call Americana. We don't want guns. Oh my God, we can't have. Why would you want guns? That's the wild, wild west. Put these people in the military. See, Ted Kennedy uh, passed. Put forth, sponsored a bill called the Immigration Act of 1965. And bringing these people in here today, they have no allegiance to this country. They have no connection to this country other than these are economic immigrants. These are not people who want to stay here, build a life. They send their money back to India. They send their money back to China. They send their money back to Mexico. And let me explain this to you, those of you who don't know, who will never know because you listen to mainstream media, you have your head in the sand, and you refuse to read. So there is something called remittances. What are remittances? Remittances are when people put money, wire money back between countries. They send money to their relatives. Here in America, we have about $130 billion that leave our economy that we can track every year because, see, they have informal transference of money systems, too, that are used in Africa and India and Asia, informal, where somebody says, I'm sending my grandmother $100 and, then the $100 gets done, but it's not done through any wire servers or anything that we would do in the West. It's all done through this ancient trust. And, everybody takes 2 or 3 cents here and 2 or 3 cents there kind of network. Seriously. So we lose $130 billion a year out of our economy. So economists go, and I talked to think tank walks. They go, oh my God, 30 billion, that's just a blimp. I said, well, multiply it by 7, that's $1 trillion. They go, well, that's still a blip. I said, but when you're talking about the national debt being $3 trillion, how is that a blip? They can't answer because they know they're lying. Okay, so India, they get the most money. I think it's something like 54 billion. China's next with 40 something billion. Mexico is next with 38 billion. Those are the last figures I could really come up with. But the bottom line is on Mexico's GDP after Pemex, the Mexican national oil company, the next item on their GDP are remittances from America or foreign countries. Most of it's America. 90%, 99.9% of it's American. These people sending back huge sums of money out of our economy. Nobody wants to talk about that. But Trump stopped all that, see. That's why his economy started growing. That's why people stopped coming in droves to our border. We had thousands of people crashing the southern border. Not hundreds, thousands. And they were demanding to be let in. We're coming. We have a right to come. You don't have no damn right. You're not an American citizen. And we're not going to give you the opportunity to get on these shores and demand rights. I love it. So now, today, this is really interesting. Today, I was reading in Wall Street Journal where the European Union is forming some kind of group to deal with these migrants who are coming across the Straits of Gibraltar, basically in wading pools. Did you hear me? Wading pools. Sharks are coming up, hitting the wading pool because they know that's dinner. I'm serious. I'm laughing, but these people are literally coming across the border in wading pools. Oh, we got the chatters out there today. Look at them. You guys fired it up. Okay, good afternoon, all. Israel, over $1 trillion a day. $1 million a day. Wow. U.S. government, a.k.a. from our tax. Yeah, we give Israel a lot of money. But, I have to give Trump credit. He has made Israel step up to the table. He's made Israel understand they need to pay their way, and we're going to cut back on spending so much money on Israel and American Jewish settlements in Israel. Did you hear me? American Jewish settlements. You have Jews who will refuse to serve in the United States military, but they enlist in the Israeli military, in the Israeli army. That is a no-shitter. It's unconscionable. How come there are not any laws against that? You refuse to serve your country of your birth, but you go and put your life on the line and your commitment to your religion. That's so. I think that is such a crock. But when you have AMAC paying people off or APAC paying people off, and these other lobbying groups, Jewish lobbying groups paying people off, nothing will ever get done about that. And our poor kids are out there fighting these endless wars, are out there fighting these wars, these civil wars that men in their country should be fighting instead of our children, our young men and women. Sorry. Amazing. They got caught selling military technology and hardware to China. I believe that. I believe that Israel would do that and have done that. They sold equipment to South Africa. They sold nuclear weapons to South Africa, supposedly. That is supposed to be a fact. And I'm pretty sure if you Google it, you will find that, the Israeli government sold nuclear weapons to the apartheid government. Yep. I remember that very clearly because I was in college and I was going, whoa, what's the connection with Israel? And because, everybody's pro-Israel, you're all, because that's all we get here is pro-Israel. The poor Jews, that's all we get. We get bombarded with that. But when you really start looking at that conflict, I look at that conflict and I always compare it to this. I live at the corners of Michigan Avenue and the river, Wabash. And what if those people the Indians decided that they wanted to take their tribal lands back? Certainly the Indians were here 300 years ago. I know that the Jewish people claim that land was theirs 2,000 years ago, but 300 years ago, all this land here in Chicago belonged to Native Americans. Indians, they like to be called, not Native Americans. My fault. Indians. Somebody just wrote, it's literally in the 2016-2017 congressional record in reference to Israel. I believe it. Now, I just Googled South African documents. They reveal that Israel offered to sell nuclear warheads to the apartheid regime, providing the first official documentary evidence of the state's possession of nuclear weapons. Whoa, this is deep. This was in the Guardian. Let's not like this was in the Globe or some salacious rag. This was in the Globe, a legitimate paper, and it's in other legitimate papers that Israel offered to sell the nuclear weapons to South Africa. De Klerk gave up nuclear. Okay. Never intended nuclear arsenal. Wow. Secret arms deal between Israel and apartheid South African government. Well, Israel has always had a very difficult time with Africans because you have European Jews and you have African Jews. Now, who do you believe is the real Jew in that scenario? They found that the Ethiopian Jews were far more Orthodox than the most Orthodox European cult or group. Can you believe that? So the Israelis had to let them in. The Israelis barred these black people, these Ethiopians, from migrating to their country, where they claim all Jews are welcome, except if you're black. If you're black, get back. But no, it was the world's outcry against Israel that allowed these black people into Israel. So now you see them integrated throughout Israel. They're police. I don't know if they're public officials. I haven't seen any, but they're policemen. They're doing various jobs throughout Israel. Last time I was there, it was I think I was there like 2007. 2005, 2007, something like that. And, so you see all these black people running around Israel who are, part of, they're Israeli. I have a lot of Israeli friends, had a lot of Israeli friends, and especially a lot of Israeli Arab friends who were just tremendous people. And they always say that they get along very well until the American Jews come with their BS. That's what they always tell me. And I believe that. I mean, you look at BB. BB's put together such a beautiful deal with Donald Trump. Now, the normal traditional establishment groups here in America, they're so pissed that Donald Trump got this deal done. But it's the first peace deal. And the Arabs are signing up. The Arabs are signing on. In fact, the Saudi Arabians, they're even getting ready to come to the table. They have some infighting among the Saudis because they're like 4 or 5 families there, and they're infighting. But they're going to get over that. And they're going to welcome Israel, and we're finally going to have peace in that region. You watch. Keep the Americans out of that deal. And Jared Kushner, who's an American Jew, has done a fantastic deal in brokering that deal and being very fair to both parties. My hat's off to him. In fact, I get chills just thinking about that boy and what he pulled off. It's incredible. It's incredible. Because that's a conflict that needs to stop. So speaking of stopping, Breonna Taylor. You know, we talked yesterday about why didn't the police shoot at the guy who was shooting? You know, in these, and you can go to the internet, you can go to YouTube, and you can look this up. You can go combat. What is it? Combat close quarter training, or what? Yeah, close quarter combat training. And what does that mean? It means, you know, you're in a room, or you're in, a small space, deciding which target to shoot. So a woman is in a hallway in her night clothes without a gun, and you shoot her 6 times. Actually, they fired 40-something bullets, but because cops aren't good shots, they only hit her 6 times. There were more than 20 bullets fired her way. I would love to see the pictures from that hallway. Could you imagine the horror of this woman and what she was dealing with? She was trying to probably run to the bathroom or something. She had no weapon. All she heard and saw were bullets flying at her. Booms. See, and this is the other thing about most people. Most people don't understand that, because, we look at TV and, we hear the machine guns going rat-tat-tat-tat-tat, rat-tat-tat-tat-tat, or, you hear these explosions, but they're nothing like being actually there, pulling the trigger or listening to a trigger being pulled or bullets coming your way. Nothing like that. I mean, you can't imagine the noise level and the smells of paraffin. You can't imagine that. Let's see here. Close quarter combat. Yes, what I said. Close quarter combat. Yeah. So, guys, I hope you guys are having fun out there typing these dissertations. But this is Freedom Friday. I wish my lines were up. My telephone lines are down, unfortunately, because we had a little problem with some software, but I fixed it. I recognized it ahead of time and just called off, because we were going to have Spalding, General Spalding, on, who wrote the book about the Chinese stiffing us, and I was going to have him talk about Trump's speech at the UN. But Breonna Taylor, I'm listening to this guy Crump. He must have heard me laughing at his speech, because in his speech, his inability to speak, because he sounded better today than I've ever heard him sound. And he was talking about release the grand jury tapes. Okay. Release the grand jury tapes. And, believe it or not, the court has the ability to release the grand jury transcripts. And, the thing about most grand juries is, because they convene and they convict, and they rule to indict because of the material that's put in front of them. That's the normal. Grand juries normally rule to indict because of the way the evidence is put before them. Most people don't know that. So this is not like it's an independent, hands-off kind of situation. They go in to get that booty. Okay, so the the grand jury is kind of loaded with a one-sided approach to what's going on. Okay, that's the reality. And so for this not to come out, for this information not to come out, Crump is saying, hey, wait a minute, something's wrong with this process. And he may be right. I don't know. But I do know this. I do know that the majority of the time that cases are put in front of the grand jury, the evidence is structured in such a way that they can only rule to indict. Okay. But the problem that we're going to have with Breonna Taylor. Why can't she be Brenda Taylor? Okay, or Beth Taylor. I have problems with these multi-hyphenated names. I'm not going to lie to you. I just call her B. Hey, B, what's up? Oh, man, that's too funny. So, the grand jury generally is structured in such a way that it indicts. Everyone's talking about President Trump and how President Trump has said he won't say if he will accept the outcome of the election. See, here we go again with that Democratic BS, the false premise, the fake news, that as if he said, I'm not going to accept. I will not accept the outcome of the election. So they put it out there. Will you accept the outcome of the election, Mr. President, if it comes to fruition? Well, the president never said he wouldn't. How come they haven't asked? Why haven't they asked that of Joe Biden? Why didn't they ask that of Hillary Clinton? Hillary, will you accept the outcome of the race if Mr. Trump wins? And of course, Hillary would have said, of course I will, because he's not going to win. I am. I'm going to be the first woman president. And I'm going to make sure that Donald Trump and the Trump empire is crumbled. And the Clinton Foundation will rule the world. Hillary, I can't stand Hillary. But that's kind of stress. I haven't heard anyone ask Joe Biden, and you can check this. Do a fact check for me, somebody. Has anyone asked Joe Biden, would he accept the nomination? Okay. Okay, my guys out here in the chat room, what are they saying? Just go to the gun range and remove your hearing protection for 1 real second. Yeah, for 1 second. Yeah, that'll give you if that won't clear your ears, nothing will. If you have a headache, please don't go. Let's see here. If all comes down to the ridiculous number of shots from those goofball cops fight, well, indiscriminately. I just think that there are a lot of things that are going on that we didn't really know about the case. The wanton, when we talk about that, and we're back on that, but I'm going to stay off that and stick with the election right now. And Trump tickled me, man. He's speaking to the Hispanics, and he just laid it out. He's just so common sense, so pragmatic. He doesn't speak in big words. So he just breaks it down to the people, right? He just breaks it down to them. He's like, hey guys, I gave you this. I'm giving you opportunity. You vote me in. I can guarantee that, you're going to reap benefits. You're going to make money. You're going to be okay. Yesterday, I did a show, and we were talking about the president appointing what do you call it? Supreme Court justices in an election year. I'm going to see here. I'm looking at a picture, and I'm looking at this picture, and I'm looking to see if they had any women carrying this casket up these damn steps, because I know if you got a woman in this thing, she ain't carrying her weight. That weight is being distributed to those other members of the group. Ginsburg made her final farewell. Okay, cool. So let me go over here to my little file, and I'm going to look for, let's see, September 26th, and I'm going to play RBG saying, the president is the president for 3.5 years, for 4 years, not 3.5, not 3.25, not not 3 3/4, but he is the president for 4 years. So let's hear her in her own voice say what the president needs to do, and not on her dying bed, as her granddaughter claimed that my grandmother on her dying bed, she said, let the next president appoint the new president appoint make the appointment for my seat, please. Here we go. Let's play this. Okay. I guess we are playing it.
What would the response be? Well, you want us to vote, so we'll vote no. So, but I do think that cooler heads will prevail. I hope sooner rather than later. The president is elected for 4 years, not 3 years, so the power that he has in year 3 continues into year 4, and maybe some members of the Senate will wake up and appreciate that that's how it should be.
Wow. Out of the mouths of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, from the video archives, she speaks. The president is the president for 4 years, not for 3.5, not for 3 3/4, but he's the president for all 4 years. Wow. Amazing. Just think about that. From her deathbed wish to, the president's for 4 years, baby. He has the power, and it's vested in him to use it as he pleases. Oops. Shoots a hole in everything that Joe Biden and the rest of these Democrats are talking about, right? Well, we should just wait. And Chuck Schumer, oh my God. We should just wait until the next president. No, we shouldn't. Go ahead, Trump. Pack that court. I love it. Pack that court, baby. You can't beat you can't beat what's going on. You really can't. You really can't. As one guy said, he said, she died at the worst possible time. Seriously, this guy said that. He said she died at the worst possible time. And yeah, she did. Yeah, she took a gamble and she lost. Oops. Rand Paul, my man, I've spent a lot of time with Rand Paul over the years. He's always been a great guy. Just a very fair man. And he sponsored the Breonna Taylor no-knock law, which most people don't know about. In fact, they were trying to pull him apart. They were trying to tar, feather, and quarter him and pull him apart by maddening horses when he sponsored the bill to for no-knock, to eliminate no-knock warrants on the local, state, and federal level. How about that? I love it. 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 Hello, young lovers, wherever you are. His dad, Rand Paul, yeah, he was submitted to the hospital. That's right. He was. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Tom, he was. He was admitted. Yep, got that. Yep, he was admitted to the hospital, and our prayers are with Ron Paul. He's a great guy. A little wacky, but I could always take. He's a little wacky. His son, though, his son is a good guy, well grounded, smart little boy. But here is what he had to say.
I think riding on Air Force Two and doing business is illegal.
That's what he had to say about Hunter Biden. And he's absolutely right. Check. They asked him about Hunter Biden and what he thought about the new information that came out. In fact, Rand sits on that committee. Here's what he had to say.
I think riding on Air Force Two and doing business is illegal. I think that is against the law and probably a felony. I think it's illegal to take money from a Russian politician's wife, $3.5 million. Was it reported accurately? I think the only way to determine the actual legality of this is to have it referred to the Department of Justice. So I'm going to send the report over. I don't know if the whole committee will vote for it, but I'm sending the report tomorrow to the Department of Justice, and we're asking for a criminal referral. We want to see that if there's a criminal investigation that's justified, here's this evidence, look at it, and then you're the lawyers for the government. You decide if you have enough to prosecute. But I think we should refer this for a criminal investigation.
All right, we got to leave it there. Senator, thank you for coming on tonight. Good to see you, sir.
Wow. I love it. I love that he's, taking the bull by the horns on this Hunter thing. He did a good job. Yep. He's a great guy. Like I said, I've sponsored him several times at several different outings. Look, let's see here. Rand Paul, the no knock. Let's talk about. He made a couple of mentions about no knock, and I think that they deserve to be played because that's what we've been talking about. That's what everybody's talking about. They're still talking about the Breonna Taylor case. In fact, the attorney. I was trying to get some video on the attorney, but I couldn't find any video of.
I think this was a bad situation where we put police into a bad situation and also the people on the other side of the door, Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, in a bad situation. The best way to do this is to reform the law. So Louisville has banned no-knock raids. Now they're looking at how this warrant was obtained. I've introduced federal legislation also to get rid of no-knock raids to try to prevent some tragedy like this from happening again. Yeah. So I think we are responding in a way. The specific details, I can't judge guilt or innocence, and ultimately this isn't the end, this is the beginning. A jury will have to decide that. Yeah. But those details are best left to a jury without politicians and everybody else weighing in on guilt or innocence. But I don't want this to happen again. And I am working hard to try.
He said that. He must have said that about 5 times. I just cut it short. But he's working hard to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And these we're talking about people with, why don't they go after the big drug guys? They're talking about neighborhood guys. They know how these drugs come into our country. They come in the ports. They come in airports, and I'm talking about, when I say ports, I'm talking about seaports. They know how these drugs get here. Stop it there. The people on the street, these people in an apartment, give me a break. Give me a break. When you start making busts for $20 million, do a no knock. But you're talking about some street level people, if they were that, and they weren't. Give me a break. And oh yeah, by the way, the young man who fired the gun legally was a concealed carry guy. So he had a legal weapon and the right to carry the weapon. So he wasn't a drug dealer as we were led to believe initially. It's really interesting that Fox News has the best video on Crump and his speech this afternoon. It's amazing. They never cease to amaze me in the kind of research that they bring, the kind of clearness that they bring, and they're not afraid. They're just not afraid to get up and make the tough decisions and bring the tough issues to bear. And that's not something that we see a lot in the media. It really isn't. But, you have Fox who'll come out and say, okay, these are the social protests. Boom. This is Attorney Crump. I went out to CNN. I couldn't find it. I went to MSNBC. I couldn't find it. And of course, I go to Fox, and here it is. So we're going to listen to Attorney Crump talk about the, what's going on, and he's called for the what do you call it? He called for the grand jury to release the transcripts. Release the transcripts. Well, I really didn't know that they could. But I did a little research and found out, the grand jury can release the transcripts. Wow, that was a shocker for me. I'll tell you that. Totally a shocker. But you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Wow. Wow. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on, and we just don't have a grip on it. Unfortunately, we just don't have a grip. We're trying. The Breonna Taylor protests. They still do not warrant the violence. Were these cops, did they execute the warrant poorly? Yes. Were the shootings justified? No. We know that the young man in the apartment, I think his name was Walker, fired one shot, hit a police officer in the leg. The police fired 38 shots. Woo. Boy. That must have been a tough day. But why weren't they shooting at the shooter instead of at Breonna? Why weren't they shooting at the shooter instead of Breonna? That is the question. That's my question. That's my question. Why weren't they shooting at the shooter instead of Breonna? And that will always be my major question. Why weren't they shooting at the shooter instead of Breonna? And I think that's going to be the question that everyone needs answered. Why weren't they shooting at the guy who shot them instead of a woman in her underwear in a hallway? I just, it's just hard for me to imagine shooting a woman, first of all, but shooting a woman in her underwear who's obviously unarmed and terrified. White people generally walk out of these situations. And when I say that, people get angry. Oh my God, white people get killed too. No, I can tell you, I can rattle off 3 situations where there were white people who committed mass murder and walked out on 2 feet. The guy in Aurora, the little crazy boy who wanted to be a neurosurgeon and found out he wasn't the smartest guy in the world, and there were people who were smarter than him in his class. He killed those people in an Aurora theater, Aurora, Colorado. In San Diego, California, where I used to live, there was a young lady who said Monday is a good day for shooting. She took out her .22 and she started shooting at children in the who were playing in the playground across the street from her house. I think she killed either 12 or 24 kids before she was stopped. They didn't break in the house. They didn't charge the house. They didn't shoot her up like Swiss cheese. She's a white girl. She walked out. She's probably in some insane asylum now. She'll probably get out. That must have happened in the 90s. So let's see. It'll probably be 30 years. She'll get out. Oh, the black guy moved. Oh my God, he moved. I'm threatened. I'm scared for my life. Boom, 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 boom. I'm telling you, man, totally different. So we can talk about justice. We can talk about reactions. We can talk about a lot of things. But it always for me comes back to, how do you constantly shoot at a woman or anyone who's unarmed in their underwear and trying to run from you? To me, that's just heartless. Did race play a factor? Was race a factor? If this had been a white person, do you think they would have shot this woman up like that? It's hard for most of us who are black to believe that. I don't believe that they would have shot this woman up who was defenseless and scared and needed their protection. See, whites and blacks have different reactions to these situations. See, white people still have this aversion to black folks. And they may not have it all the time, but it's ingrained in the system. It's ingrained in everything that we do. It's ingrained in our history. It's ingrained in our educational system. Nobody really wants to talk about it. Now, we overcome it when we make friends, but out in the streets, no, when women see me coming, they clutch their purses or they, make some kind of gesture that lets me know that they're afraid, when I could care less about these, what I call PWTs. Care less about these women. And I think it's that feeling, that thing, whatever it is, that allows white men to shoot black people the way they do. And white women too will shoot black people because remember that white woman shot that black guy down in Dallas, but I think they had a relationship going. I think he was boning her, and he was, she wasn't his only piece, and she got mad, went down there and shot his behind up. That's what I think. In fact, this was the thing. The brother knew her. When they read the verdict in court, the guy who got shot, the black guy who got shot, his brother went up and hugged the woman who shot his brother. They knew each other. It came out later, they knew each other. How about that? So she gets charged, hey, I'm going in the Rumble. Not I killed the lover. That would have been a whole different trial. Oh, she'd been down to that apartment before. She knew the door was unlocked. She knew. That would have been a different trial. She wouldn't have been looking at 6 or 7 years. She would have been looking at 30. Premeditated. I'm going down there and shoot his black ass. Oh, man. Amazing. But right now, what we have to do is we have to call for calm. We have to call for peace. We have to call, don't talk to me about Black Lives Matter and all this rioting. That is not about Black lives or Black Lives Matter to anybody, especially to these people who are chanting Black Lives Matter. What about my Black life? Right now, today, we have a friend of mine they have a procession that they're going to take his body through a neighborhood, a procession. He's a servant to the community. And he's a good friend of mine. I really wanted to go to his funeral. But I knew this once. Everybody's going to be practicing this social distancing thing because they're all Democrats and they all have all this misinformation about COVID-19. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about Trump. I don't want to be the representative for Trump. I don't want to deal with any of that nonsense. So I'm just staying away. I had a great relationship with the man. I respected him. He respected me. So I'm not going to go to his funeral. I'm not going to go to any of the activities. But I loved him. He's a great guy. He's a funny guy. Funny as hell. Okay. Now, out here on the board, and it says, it's dangerous for cops and the public, so we need our raids from sun up to sundown only. The only exception was emergency circumstances. Well, the deal is these people need to go after real drug dealers. You're talking about a guy, a street level guy, an apartment. Really? You got cargo ships coming in with drugs and you're talking about a damn apartment building? Give me an effing break, okay? People need to get angry. Get angry at that. Get angry at the way these police are pursuing drugs. Low-level street people. They know where the drug's coming from, where the real money's being made. It's being made in City Hall. It's being made with these cops on the street. Everybody knows where and how to buy drugs who want drugs. How about that? You think the police don't? I mean, you think the police don't know who's selling drugs, where they're being sold, how they got there? So why are you busting people who are using drugs and people who are distributing drugs at that level? Because the money and the people involved beyond that are supposedly respectable people. But it's all about follow the money. Speaking of follow the money, did anybody out there, I know you can't answer because my phone lines are down, but I'd really like to know if anyone out there saw Climate Hustle, the movie 2. Climate Hustle, the movie 2. I'm going to look at it this weekend, check it out, because it's what I do. I check things out. And I'll let you know about it on Monday. Baltimore is saying no justice, no peace. Power to the people. Release those transcripts. Release those transcripts. We don't know about the transcripts, but I do know this. It pains me to think about the last moment of that woman, that young woman, Breonna Taylor, scared and running for her life as these bullets whiz past her head and into her body from people who should be protecting her. No bullets are coming their way from her, from the hallway. No bullets are coming from the hallway. Why are you shooting down there? Those are questions that need to be answered, folks. Will they be? Don't know. But I do know this. There is a God. When you get to Judgment Day, you will be judged. That's just a fact. A fact of where we're at. I wish that I could play Crump talking about release the transcripts. I tried to hook it up, but I should have recorded it off the TV and played it back to you via the system here. But hey, I was busy. Look, when you get a chance, I want you to go out to my website, therealitycheck.charlesbutler.com. We're going to be updating that baby over the weekend. We're going to be uploading different snippets, different posts like the YouTubes, Facebook, stuff like that. It's going to be fun. Get this presence souped up a little bit, jazz it up a little bit, and get out there. Get the podcast going. Really do it. So let's see here. How many people are going to be killed in Chicago? I should start a lottery. How many people are going to be killed in Chicago this week? The person closest to that figure will get a copy of the Constitution. How about that? But you have to be honest. Let's see here. Breaking news in Chicago. I'm gonna keep you informed here in Chicago. What's the breaking news? That coronavirus in Illinois, we had 2,514 new COVID-19 cases, 25 deaths reported as Lightfoot and labor leaders call for congressional help on Chicago's revenue hole. Ain't gonna happen, baby. Ain't gonna happen. Drive this bad boy into poverty. The doubt about police in Chicago manifests itself on racial lines in a monitor survey. Legal challenges over traffic stops. Yeah, man, these traffic stops. That's what we talk about. I've only been stopped on traffic stops. Or you have a tail light out. Well, that white guy has a tail light out, and that other white guy has a headlight out. You didn't stop them, but I supposedly have a tail light out. And the reality was, I had a cop take a billy club like, and just, it wasn't really it was baton is really what it was, and whack my passenger rear taillight out. Just whack it, bam. And so in those days, you didn't have any cameras on your phone and that kind of stuff. So when I got pulled over and this happened, and all the glass kind of fell on the street, something told me to go home, get my camera, and take a picture of it. And that's exactly what I did. Took 10, 12 pictures of the glass on the street, where I was, where I got pulled over, everything. When I went into court, the judge was so angry. He was so angry that this cop had did that. And the cop actually thought that he's going to get away with doing that because he was a police officer at the end of the day. And of course, the court believes the policeman over the citizen. And hey, man, the judge was angry. You could see it in his face and hear it in his voice. But anyway, hey, nothing came of it. The cop still was probably out there doing his thing, harassing people. But that's the kind of cop that I wouldn't mind if he got shot. Say, good cops. Hey, Charles Butler's with you. I'm with you 110%. I will go to bat for you. I'll fight for you. I'm not going to go as far as to say I'll put on a little body armor, but hey, good people are good people, and we have good cops, we have bad cops, we have good people, we have bad people. It's just the way life is. But look, we're gonna bump on out of here, and hope that you will come back and be with us next week, because that's when we'll be back.
The president, he's got his war. Folks don't know just what it's for. Nobody gives us a rhyme or reason. Have one doubt, they call it treason. With chicken feathers all without wonder. God damn it, trying to make it real compared to what?
I'm gonna stick around for a little while. You guys are out there. It's Freedom Friday, so we're off the big air. We're off of Red State. We're doing our thing here, and so you guys are still out there. So I'm going to stay here for a minute. The call to defund police and this thing with Charles Barkley, I thought that was really cool. That I had written about this back in June 9th. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Defund the police, call Ghostbusters. Right. And how you think that's gonna work out? It's not. Ghostbusters is a movie. The reality is we're going to have to put in place some serious police accountability, and with that, citizen accountability, because a lot of times these citizens bring things on themselves because of their mouth. You have to show police officers respect. And you should show teachers respect. We have lack of respect here in America. And that is the problem that I had with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was one of these people that thought that just because you are, you should be respected, that you're equal just because you are. And I don't believe that. I don't believe it at all. Man, here we are at the end of September. It is still hot. It's still hot. I'm sweating. I'm sitting here sweating, and I have the windows open. And what I've noticed though is that generally during this time there used to be a lot of sirens going off. I don't think I've heard one siren during this session. Did you guys hear one out there? No. So are you still out there? Baltimore? Let's see who else is out there. Baltimore. Let's see who else is out there. There's only one person out there tweeting. Baltimore. Okay. So look, thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Have your friends subscribe. Come join me. Jump in the chat. So we're going to continue to fire it up, continue to do our thing, continue to bring you the type of show that you like, the kind of guests that you like. I'm going to get more guests on. imparting you information straight from the horse's mouth instead of my opinion. So we'll be back Monday though, and we will. We have Monday. We have. We're going to have Ilya Shapiro on Monday, talking about the Constitution and talking about this appointment by President Trump. Okay, thanks. Take care.